I just want to go through a quick look at how we can save and load to files. Just continuing on with this last video we made, looking at our array table view. So as a quick recap on that, we have this one here, in which we're able to change and make different names to. So if I enter the name Peter, we can add it, and then Peter will be added down to the bottom here. Just a reminder too, depending on the size of your table view, you may need to scroll down if you don't make it long enough as well to see the remainder of them here. So we're going to look at adding a couple of save buttons here so we can save and load this into a CSV, because as you can see, if we were to stop this program now, like so, I'll just rearrange this a little bit, and I were to reload this, I've already started off with the names Michael and John. But if this reloads, we can see that it's only going to stay there, so I'm going to save. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 2 new buttons to be able to save and to be able to load files. And I also want to look at how I can swipe to delete as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new tab here, have a storyboard, and 2 things I want to go ahead and do. Give myself a little bit of room here. So I want to first of all go ahead and have 2 new buttons. Duplicate this one down here, make this a save button, duplicate this one over here, and make this a load button. So the idea is we're going to be able to load and save using these 2 buttons here now. I'm just going to make myself some room here and write out the functions actually I want to make first, so I know exactly where they're going to be and how they're going to work. So I'm going to write this one as save function, so function save the array to a CSV file, and then the other one's going to be a function to load the CSV file to the array in the program for display. So I'll drag this save button in first and call that one btn save, and imaginatively I'm going to also drag this btn load one here as well. Now there's got to be a few different things I'm going to add just to make things a little bit easier as well. So a couple of things I can add here may be that I need to make sure I can set a directory to know exactly where I'm going to load to for here. So I might give a quick variable, actually make it, even better yet, I'll make it a constant because I'm not going to change this. So I'm going to call this directoryURL. This is actually going to autocomplete and be pretty clever with the way it's actually done so for me. But the code is also going to be supplied on this one and also within any of the stacks we complete as well. So you can see here that we have this directoryURL, which just happens to be the one that's suggested given here. So the save is having to remember it. You can just paste that in here as well, like so. One thing I'm going to do as well later on is I also want to put a print here. So I want to put a print statement here for directoryURL. So as soon as my code loads, it's actually going to print my directoryURL, which means I'll be able to see all my files and be able to see everything within the app folder for my application here when it runs on my phone. Also, I'll make this a little bit bigger too. So with that one here now, I can know exactly where I'm going to save to and load from. So I can give that one here. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this one because I won't need it anymore. Zoom in a little bit here. And then I want to look at saving and loading my files. So again, if we come back to here, we can see some code that I've supplied here, given so here. So we're going to say this is a CSV. So I'm going to have a comma as my separator here, and then we're going to go through some code here, which I'll paste through and I'll explain in a moment. So for my save file, what we're going to do is we're going to have this constant. We're going to make it a string, And what this is going to do is it's going to get our array, which, what if I call my array here? Call my array names. And basically it's going to make a brand new string that's going to have all my names, and it's going to join it on a comma. So that we know exactly that it's going to be a comma here. Now, the other one we're going to do is we're now going to have a file name. The file name we're going to make is going to be called file name. And it's going to go ahead and make it in the URL that's given for this one here. I think I called this one, oh, I probably should actually make this uppercase like so. Call this one directoryURL like so. So it's going to have a file name called words and put in the URL. We won't worry about too much about the do's and catches, but basically what they're going to do is it's going to try to run this code. And if this code doesn't work, this is what's going to happen instead. So this is going to get my string and write it to the file that's given here. And then if it's able to do so, encoding it properly, it's going to print that the file is successfully exported. Else it's going to say the file could not be exported. So let's go through and actually give that a run now, see what happens. So I'll save this, give it a run, and see if the save button works. Oh, sorry. That will be yelling at me for this one here. Apologies. Let's run that. So when this builds, first thing I'm going to look for is I'm actually going to look for this here at the moment it builds. Open up my console, get ready for my print statement, and then I'll know exactly where to look for the file as soon as it loads up and as soon as it starts running. I'm going to put this in my view did load function because this is the first thing that's going to run the moment that your view has loaded. So still loading at the moment. There we go. I can see it's loaded. This is my file. I'm going to copy this whole thing here. Command C. Then what I'm going to do is if I go into my Finder, if I'm able to go to this Go, and then go to folder, I can paste this straight in and then push enter. This is actually going to take me to this documents folder, which is actually going to be part of the emulator I'm running just for this application. So if I do something like this, and I'm able to add the name, let's say Peter, and add that. If I save this, I can see, indeed, I've got words.csv here. If I open this up, I can see that I've got John, Michael, and Peter. And this one is empty at the start as well. But I've got my file here now. Excellent. So now I'm able to go ahead and I can save to it, which is brilliant, fantastic. So now what I want to do is I actually want to get a load of function. So what happens is again, even though it's saved, if I were to stop this application now, and then after I stop the application and rerun it, even though I've got my file here, which is words.csv, you'll see it hasn't updated. It's only going to be from this one here. So I need to have a load function now. So in the exact same way that we've done so before, we need to go ahead and we need to have our string from our file and then put it back into an array. Again, we can have a look through this code here that I've pre-written before. I'm just going to copy this and then we'll have a quick talk through this as we're doing it now. So I'll paste this one in to my load function. And again, what I've done here is I've got my file URL, my file name here from my directory URL. It's going to have this data here, which is going to try to take all the contents from words.csv. If it's able to be converted to a string, it's going to be able to print everything out for me. And then I want to, first of all, no, not words, sorry, names. I want to put this back into names after I've made it empty. And then I want to make names equal to the string. Every single time there's a comma, we want to make a brand new string within our array. Then go ahead and do a quick print to make sure that it's actually all going to be there as it should be. So do try all of this, make it from our string we've read from our file, make our array blank, put all of it into our array, and then let's print it to make sure it works. So let's go ahead and let's save that and run that one now. Replace. And then let's run it and see what happens. So if I click on this load function, we can see here my array shows blank, John, Michael, and Peter. If I have a look here, I can see blank, John, Michael. Oh, but it hasn't loaded through properly. One thing we will have to do and actually make sure of is when we do so, is we need to make sure we actually have our table go ahead and actually reload all of our data. So if we don't have our data reload, then what's going to happen is it's not going to be able to actually put all those things in properly as it should. So we always need to make sure we have our table data reload every single time we insert anything new in there as well. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's try that one again now. If we click on load, we're going to see I've got that one blank one I put in because I didn't have any form of validation. But we can see John, Michael, and Peter has been given there as well.